Okay, let's do an example together to see how to use StatCrunch to find the p-value. The first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to paste the problem in, and that isn't what I wanted to do. Here we go. This is number 9 on page 383. So we've got McDonald's had 33 orders that were not accurate among the 362 orders observed. Use a 5% significance level to test the claim that the rate of inaccurate orders is equal to 10%. Does the accuracy rate appear to be acceptable? So let's start, because whenever we do a significance test, we want to follow the flow chart. And if you haven't seen the flow chart, it's in your tables and formula book, and it's also on page 360. So check that out. So we're going to identify the claim. That's number 1. So the claim is that the accuracy rate is equal to 10%. Equal to, it doesn't say less than or greater than, it's equal to or not equal to, except I'm going to change it because it says acceptable there. So we're going to do our hypotheses. We're going to have our null hypothesis is that our P is equal to 10%. And our alternative hypothesis is that our P is less than, okay, inaccuracy orders equal to 10%. So we want it to be less than 10% because we're testing the inaccuracy. So then we set our alpha level, and it says 0.05, and we have our data. So what we have is we had 33 orders. This is our p hat. We had 33 orders out of 362 that were inaccurate. Okay, so now we're going to do our test, and we're going to do a z-test of proportion. That's an of. Okay, and this is where we're going to pull up StatCrunch. So we want to do stat, proportion statistics, one sample with summary. And our number of successes, which is in this case the 33 inaccurate orders, the number of observations is going to be our 362. And our hypothesis is 10%. And our alternative is less than. Okay? So now I'm going to do compute. And here I have everything I need. So I'm just going to copy this, and I like to use my snipping tool, and I'm just going to snip this because this has everything I need. Okay, and then I'm going to go back to my whiteboard so you can see what I'm doing. So in this test, I'm going to paste my results. Okay. Now, I would recommend that you also write the formula for the z-test so you know what's happening. So we've tested it against our population proportions equal to 10% or less than 10%. Now look at what we have here. Remember, when we do the p-value, if the p-value is less than or equal to alpha, we reject. So if p is low, the null must go. But notice what we have here. is our p-value, and I like to use a capital P for p-value. Our p-value, is it less than or equal to our alpha? No, it isn't. So therefore, this is not statistically significant. I'm just going to use SS for statistically significant. So you can see that 0.2875 is not less than 0.05. So it's not statistically significant. Then we need to make our decision. Because it's not statistically significant in our step 5, we fail to reject. So that means that our null hypothesis stands. So in step 6, our summary should say these data suggest that the inaccuracy rate is 10% as claimed. Okay, now it says, does the accuracy rate appear to be acceptable? Well, yes, the accuracy rate appears to be successful, or rather acceptable. So it meets the standard. So that's how you use StatCrunch to find the p-value for a z-tested proportions. It's the same as when you get into the means and the standard deviations. If you have a question on how to use StatCrunch, go to YouTube and do a search for what you're doing, and you'll find a video that tells you how that works.